This is Sam from Unidale, and you're tuning into another edition of the Sam I Analyze Show. Folks, we've reached the halfway point. Although there are less than 30 games left in the NBA season, and there's a team named the Milwaukee Bucks that are spiraling. They are spiraling. 10 games in. They are 3-7 under the watch of Doc Rivers. Is it time to panic in Bucksland? Let's analyze. Folks, last month, Coach Adrian Griffin of the Milwaukee Bucks, who was 30-13 and was second in the Eastern Conference, right behind the Boston Celtics, he was given his walking papers. He was. And he was replaced by one Doc Rivers. And when Doc Rivers came on board, I said, Doc Rivers? Doc Rivers. Okay. All right. And for me, I don't know if you know, but I personally have always felt that Doc Rivers is overrated. That's it. I felt he's been overrated. Now, how can you say that? He's a champion. Yeah. He is. That's true. Doc Rivers last won a championship. Are you ready for this? He last won a championship in 2008. 2008. That's when Doc Rivers won a championship. And then, and he ended up winning in 2008. 2008, y'all. I think that in looking at that, I'm like, 2008. I'm like, that's a long time ago. I mean, the Yankees last won the championship in 2009. All right, so how long is Doc Rivers going to live off? Oh, I'm a champion. He's a champion. All right. Doc Rivers' resume, and what was that? That was 16 years ago. Yankees in 15. So, and I get it. He was a coach of a year in 2000, 23 years ago. Are you seeing what's going on here? Now let's go to some more recent stuff when it comes to Doc. He's got 23 years of experience. All right. He was the coach of the year for the Orlando Magic. That year he was 500, 41-41 in 42 games. He was in Orlando for about 4 years. He went to the Boston Celtics, was there for a few years, and then he got lucky. His resume is a little deceiving because he had KG, he had Paul Pierce, he had Ray Allen, and he had a young Rajon Rondo. So I can't say that any coach with some sense and some credibility and experience could possibly have done the same thing. But, I mean, it's kind of looking like that. But no, but wait, there's more. Doc Rivers would then, he would spend a few years in Boston. All right. What is it? From 2005 to 2013, he was over there. Then he would go to the Lakers, the Clippers rather, where he had CP3, he had Blake Griffin, he had DeAndre Jordan, Lob City. He did. And are you seeing here? Surrounded by superstars. And he didn't get the job done there. He didn't, although he was solid for the most part. I mean, his first year, 57-25. second year, 56 and 26. Doc was solid. He was solid, but he could never win the big game. I mean, since it's fleeting now. 2008, and I'm talking about now. We're in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, and then Doc Rivers would take his act most recently to Philly. Spent 3 years in Philly, and last year he was 54 and 28. And I know some of you're not talking about what he's done in the playoffs. I'm gonna get there, but he lost his job in Philly after finishing 54 and 28. That's not what did him in. I'll get there. And then he took the job from under Adrian Griffin. Just pulled the rug. He pulled the rug, because he was, and I say he pulled the rug because he was an advisor. He was an advisor. He was always around. So the stress level of Adrian Griffin had to be pretty high. He's like, oh, he's here again. I mean, I see what's happening. And yeah, so Doc Rivers, he's been with the Bucks for 10 games. They're 3-7. They are 3-7 right now, folks. And Doc Rivers, that's not all. That's not all, by the way. Doc Rivers is a guy who, right now they're no longer in second. They are actually now in third because they're 3-7 in their last 10. They lost to the Grizzlies. They've lost their last 2 games, and right now they're about 2 games back from the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, I mean, look, an 8.5 back of the Celtics. A lot of people believe that that Doc Rivers, like he's like, when you would think about Doc Rivers, people are like, oh, he's Doc Rivers is a champion. Only one. But let's look at what he's done in Game 7s. Doc Rivers, to me, he is, when it comes to Game 7s, he has lost the most Game 7s in NBA history. He has 10 Game 7 losses. He's 6-10 when it matters. The most recent one was in Boston, where he gave up like 50 points to Jason Tatum, and he lost by 24 points after being up 3-2, mind you, in the series. After being up 3-2 in the series, he lost to Jason Tatum and the Celtics. And let's take a trip down memory lane. I mean, this is what he does. This is what he does. All this talk about Doc Rivers going to be so good for this Milwaukee Bucks team. He was 3-2 and he lost. We saw him what he did against a few years ago when he lost to Ice Trey a few years ago when they eliminated the Knicks. So he's in Trae Young. He hasn't been good when it has counted. Honestly, he has not. And for me, I think this hire of Doc Rivers being 6-10 when it matters is a big deal. It's a big deal because you would think he has not one but multiple championships, and he just does not have it. Let's take a look. In 2003, he lost in the first round, a Game 7, when he was the Orlando Magic's coach against the Detroit Pistons. Nobody's going to knock you there. These are guys who eventually won the championship the following year. 2005, first round to the Indiana Pacers. And 2010, they lost to the Lakers in Game 7, where, Kobe did his thing. The conference finals in 2012, he lost in Game 7, an annihilation to the Miami Heat. He lost another Game 7 when he was the Clippers coach to the Houston Rockets. 2017. You see my drift? He's 6-10 when it matters. He's 6-10 when it matters. So, some people are like, ain't so bad. But, I mean, his teams have had leads and have lost. They have lost. So, when they said he was going to Milwaukee, I'm like, okay. Now, if you ask me, what should Milwaukee have done? Honestly, how did we get to this messy situation? They should have kept Mike Budenholzer. Now, I wasn't a big fan of his, but look, he just won a championship. I get it. Look, listen, they lose to the Miami Heat. That's just their kryptonite. They lose to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, no matter who they have, they just own them for some reason. And you see what Budenholzer, unfortunately, his brother passed away during that series out of nowhere, and he still coached. And what did they do? They not only they did not even honor the fact that the guy was going through it. They let him go. Now Giannis has a few coaches who have been let go who've been fired under his watch, and he's got to own it. With I love the guy and invited him to my wedding. Okay, Giannis. Now, if you ask me why I wasn't really big on the Doc Rivers hire, is because the issue with the Bucks is that they have a problem on the perimeter. They do. They lost Grayson Allen. They lost Drew Holiday in getting Dame time. They lost those guys, the scrappiness, the gritty play. They lost those guys. And that's a big deal. Chris Middleton, he's a shell of himself. He's a shell of himself. So this is stuff that they know. They should have known. You can't think that Doc Rivers is just going to come in and save the day. You can't. Doc Rivers cannot help this team with the issues that they're having. He cannot. He cannot. They just do not have the pieces. They got Pat Bev. Okay, that's one guy. That's one guy. So Shaq and in the show yesterday, in the post game, they were saying Shaq believes they're gonna get swept. And look, listen, there are about 26, 27 games, depending on what team you're looking at, left after the All-Star festivities as the NBA kicks back up again next Thursday. Thursday, I believe. Listen, they've got to get it together, but they're just an older team. They are an older team, and I don't think Doc Rivers can save the day. But what say you, Buck fans? I want to know, how do you feel? I'm saying you guys should have stuck with Mike Budenholzer. At least you knew what it was. He could play defense, and he knew how to coach this team. I don't think Doc Rivers is going to make a difference. I think the Bucks are going to be out. But we're going to see what happens. Now, congratulations, by the way, goes out to Caitlin Clark, who is the leading scorer in women's college basketball history. Good for her. Congratulations to her. Now, as we close with our By the Way segment, Tiger Woods withdraws from the Genesis Invitational. Get better, Tiger Woods. I hope he can get back to his winning ways, but it looks like Father Time continues to be undefeated. Folks, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I'm on most social media platforms, on Facebook at SamIAnalyze, on Instagram at SamIAnalyze, on the platform formerly known as Le Twitter, at SamIAnalyze. Please like, subscribe, share, and see that notification bell to the right? Please click on that. That will let you know the next time I drop another video. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, À tout à l'heure.
What?